While searching for a cure for a deadly virus, a scientist created a deadly rain that caused people to die screaming, in agony upon getting wet, and within days, entire cities began to disappear from the map. This was before all this had even begun. A young woman named Simone was rushing to class for an exam at a university in Denmark. Suddenly, her father, Frederick, arrived and without explanation, grabbed Simone and forced her into his car. Simone's younger brother Rasmus and her mother were already in the car. Frederick, extremely nervous, began driving very fast without explaining anything. He was driving them towards a secret bunker built deep in the forest by his company, Apollo. The weather was rapidly deteriorating, and it seemed as if rain would start at any moment. Meanwhile, Frederick's speeding caused an accident involving several vehicles ahead, blocking the road. People began arguing with him in anger, but he seemed unconcerned. He immediately got his family out of the car and ran into the forest. As soon as they arrived, the first drops of rain began to fall. Frederick quickly unlocked the bunker with his fingerprint and ushered everyone inside. Simone and Rasmus were both perplexed as to why their father had brought them there. The bunker contained everything they needed: food, water, and a self-contained air processing system for several years. Simone was about to question her father when Frederick donned a protective suit and prepared to leave. He simply stated, "No one will leave the bunker until I return." Simone tried to stop him, demanding to know the truth. Frederick then explained that a dangerous virus had spread in the rain outside. Anyone who came into contact with it would die in agony within seconds. Frederick was the only person who could find a cure. Therefore, he had to go to the company headquarters immediately. As he leaves, he tells Simon to take special care of Reshma, as she could change everything in the future. Simon is still confused. Frederick left the bunker. A little while later, Simone turned on the internet on her phone and was horrified when she saw the news. Scenes of death, destruction, and fear were everywhere. People were falling in the streets, screaming and dying in agony in the rain. Simone, terrified, started talking to her brother. Just then, their mother said they were safe now, but no matter what, they should not go outside. They were still talking when suddenly there was a loud knock on the bunker door. Rasmus thought it might be his father returning. His mother told him not to, but he didn't listen and opened the bunker door. As soon as the door opened, a man, drenched in rain, fell outside. His skin was burning, and he tried to pull Rasmus out in agony, but Rasmus's mother immediately pulled Rasmus inside and, pushing the man away, ran into the rain. As she got drenched in the rain, she herself became infected and began to suffer. Despite this, her greatest concern was for Simone and Rasmus. She urged them to take care of each other. Afterward, Simone, weeping, closed the door and went inside, trying to call her father Frederick. But her phone wouldn't connect to Frederick's, further increasing her fear. At that moment, she remembered Frederick's words, telling Simone to act normal in front of Rasmus. With this memory, Simone composed herself and began checking all the bunker's systems. She discovered that there were several other bunkers in their city, built by the Apollo company. Simone tried to contact those bunkers, but to no avail. While browsing the bunker's supplies, she discovered a radio. Using the radio, she contacted a man hiding in the basement of his house. The situation outside was dire. The situation was dangerous, and many people were being shifted to a nearby hospital to save the lives of the humans. Simone gave the man Frederick's number and asked him to call, but despite her attempts, she couldn't contact Frederick. Simone thought Frederick might have died, as survival outside was nearly impossible. Suddenly, the city's lights went out, cutting off Simone's radio connection, leaving her to care for Rasmus alone in the bunker. When Frederick hadn't returned even after a week, Simone mustered up the courage to leave. She wore a PPE kit and went to the bunker gate at night, but then she began to see visions of her mother dying. Terrified, she immediately returned to the bunker. Rasmus also didn't want her to go outside, realizing the danger outside was too great. A month passed slowly. During this time, Simone often found it difficult to care for Rasmus, but she tried her best to be a good sister and care for her brother. She also learned about all the resources and systems in the bunker. It was during this time that she remembered that some time ago, Rasmus had contracted a strange virus that no one knew about. At that time, Frederick personally developed an antidote and gave it to Rasmus. Later, Frederick's company also learned about the virus and asked him to submit a full report. Simone began to suspect that Frederick might have created the virus. Nearly 6 years had passed. They were gone, but Simone had no idea about Frederick. Rasmus had also grown up and wanted to go out and look for food, as there was very little left in the bunker. Simone initially refused, but then decided it was important to go and assess the danger herself. At night, when Rasmus fell asleep, Simone put on a PPE kit and decided to leave the bunker. As soon as she got out, she began to see visions of her mother. But this time, she composed herself and continued on. Upon reaching the exit, she saw that her mother's body had become a mere skeleton. A deer was standing nearby and Simone moved on. Several cars were lying in disrepair on the road, and the surrounding jungle had grown. Simone ignored these things and continued on her mission. She reached the hospital where people were kept safe. Despite calling out several times, there was no response. Then when Simone looked inside, the scene had turned into complete devastation. Everything around was in ruins, and bodies were strewn across the ground. Suddenly, a wolf appeared before them. Terrified, Simone hid in a nearby room to save her life. After a while, when everything calmed down, she slowly emerged and returned to her bunker. Once there, Simone immediately explained to Rasmus that the situation outside had worsened. If they wanted to survive, they would have to leave this place and go to another bunker located somewhere within the city. Hearing this, Rasmus decided to go out with Simone the next day and find another bunker. They prepared to leave the next day and went to sleep. But suddenly, something went wrong that night. The oxygen level in the bunker began to drop rapidly, and neither of them realized it. Shortly after, Simone fainted due to low oxygen levels. But luckily, Rasmus heard the alarms just in time. A voice is heard. He immediately picks up Simon, quickly locks her, and runs outside. Now, both of them are outside without PPE kits. But surprisingly, they don't feel any discomfort. This clearly means they can survive outside without the suit. But then suddenly, some men hold them at gunpoint. These were the same men who had seen Simone wandering outside earlier. And when she returned to the bunker, they had cut off her oxygen supply so they could take them hostage and loot the rations inside. They lock Simon and Rasmus inside a room at gunpoint and search the bunker for food. But since Simon and Rasmus' rations had already run out, they find nothing. Seeing this, their leader, Martin, becomes enraged and locks Simon and Rasmus in and starts leaving. If they had remained inside, they would have surely lost their lives. So Simone writes on a glass, revealing she knows where the food stock can be found. After writing this, she deliberately breaks the pad containing the map of the other bunkers. Martin now has no choice, as if he wants the rations. He must get Simone and Rasmus out, as the locations of the others are only in Simone's mind. Meanwhile, Martin's eyes fall on Simone and he begins to reminisce about his old days as a soldier. At that time, he was ordered to be stationed on a bridge, preventing anyone from leaving the city to prevent the spread of the infection. If you've gotten this far, it means you're enjoying the story. So, a like video and a subscribe Movie Minds channel are in order. But one day, while on duty, Martin spots a woman holding her child, trying to cross under a bridge. He fires several shots in the air to stop her, but the woman doesn't stop. She bravely escapes the city. At that moment, Martin felt compassion for her, so he didn't shoot her. A short while later, his comrades summoned him to a nearby tent where all the soldiers were staying. There, Martin discovers that the woman he let go was actually infected, and since her departure, several people in the tent have died from the infection. Hearing this, Martin is devastated. With the death of his last comrade, his patience also runs out. At that very moment, he vows never to trust anyone, no matter the circumstances. Survival is his primary rule. After remembering all this, Martin returns to the present time and flatly refuses to accept Simon's deal. However, they have no food left and will not be able to survive for long without it. Realizing this, Martin finally agrees to Simon's offer. He frees Simon and Rasmus and takes them outside with him. When Simon and Rasmus emerge from the bunker after so many years, the air and light outside reflect a sense of relief on both their faces. Being outside after such a long time was nothing short of a miracle for them. After a while, when they speak with Martin and his team, they learn that the world is now so food and water scarce that people are even killing and eating humans to survive. Hearing this, Simon and Rasmus are shocked. Both of them are stunned. Suddenly, a group appears in the distance. They were searching the area with their thermal sensor drone for humans, hoping to capture and kill them. Upon seeing this, Martin quickly covered everyone with aluminum foil to prevent their body heat from being reflected in the drone camera. But two other survivors were nearby. One of the girls, a girl, runs and confronts Simon and the others. Simon wants to help her, but Martin flatly refuses, saying that helping a stranger could put their entire team at risk. But then, his daughter, a girl from his team, comes to Simon's aid. Without a second thought, they both run after the woman to save her life. While fleeing, she slips and falls into a small river. Just then, some people following her are about to kill her. But just then, Martin arrives and shoots both men without delay. He's a man who never abandons his team no matter what. But Simone has become infected after falling into the water. Seeing this, Martin is forced to shoot her as well. This comes as a huge shock to Simone. Only then does she realize that while staying on land is safe, contact with rain or standing water is still a significant risk. Even the slightest contact can infect them. After this incident, Simone leads everyone to another bunker, the location of which she has memorized. It will take them almost a day to reach there. Before nightfall, they decide to camp in a nearby house. Inside, they find some weapons, clothing, and other belongings belonging to the dead hunters. There are also some bottles of clean water kept there. Seeing this, John gives the water to his sick companion. Leah, seeing their mutual care, a smile comes to Simone's face. At first, she just wanted to help them reach the next bunker. But now she realizes that these people are not bad. Gradually, Simone begins to truly want to help Martin and his team. The next morning, everyone resumes their journey. On the way, Rasmus suddenly steps into a water-filled pit. Seeing this, Martin immediately takes out his gun and is about to shoot him, but Simone steps in and stops him. She immediately takes off Rasmus's shoe and checks his sock. Surprisingly, it was completely dry. That means Rasmus's shoe was waterproof and he had no infection. Seeing this, Martin breathes a sigh of relief and lowers his gun. Then, together, they continue their journey and finally reach the next bunker. There, Simone's fingerprint unlocks the door. Everyone's faces light up at the sight inside. There was enough food to last them comfortably for years. Everyone rejoices and eats to their heart's content. But Simone feels a sense of unease, a sense of distrust in Martin and his team. She wonders when they might kill her. When she confronts Martin directly about this, Martin explains to her that she'd been inside the bunker for the past 6 years, so she knew nothing about the outside world or the conditions of people. Martin was actually a good man, but the present times were such that trusting anyone wasn't easy. Still, Simone ignored his warning and went inside the bunker. There, she found a phone charging with a childhood photo of her and Rasmus. This phone actually belonged to Simone's father, Frederick, who had moved from the old bunker to this new one for a while. Simone immediately checked the phone with Rasmus. There, she found a video of Frederick, in which he explained that he was going to a headquarters in Sweden to develop a cure or antidote for the infection. Simone immediately thought that her father might still be alive. So, she decided to go to that Swedish headquarters with Rasmus. Simone also told Martin about this and hoped that Martin would help them. But Martin flatly refused. He claimed they were in no danger in the bunker. However, to reach the Swedish headquarters, they would have to pass through the city, where numerous hunters might be hiding. Martin thought this could be very risky. Martin also considered that Frederick's video was 6 years old, and he would likely be dead by now. If he had succeeded in creating the antidote, Martin would surely have found out. But Simone ignored him and, taking a few days' worth of rations, left the bunker with Reshiram. Beate also decided to follow John and Leah, as she truly wanted to support Simone. Leah had realized that it was Simone who had allowed her to reach the bunker safely. In any case, Martin and Patrick were initially about to kill Leah. John and Beate, in reality, the three of them were not known to Martin and Patrick and were trapped in a single group. Martin and Patrick had caught them with the intention of robbing them, and Beate had risked her life to save them. They told them about a hidden base they had stored food for several days. Martin accompanies the 5 of them to that place. They all eat together and truly enjoy being together. At night, Beate requests Martin to provide them with protection. Martin agrees, and they have lived together ever since. In the present time, Simon and Rasmus, unaware that John, Leah, and Beate were following them, approach a city. On the way, they see a bus blocking the road ahead. Both are exhausted, so they rest for a while on the bus. But after a while, they see shadows of people outside. Both are stunned with fear. Then they discover that they are Beate, John, and Beate. Simone likes them very much, and she tells them to stay safe in the bunker. But the 3 decide to stay with Simon. They reach a nearby safe place and start eating. But then a slew of hunters arrive. They have to leave immediately. While running, Simone gets separated and reaches a fence on the road, which is covered with numerous missing persons posters. This makes Simone feel very sad. On the other side of the fence, she sees a small child alone. Rain is about to start soon. What will happen to them now? Will they all be able to reach a safe place before the rains stop? Like and subscribe to find out. See you in the next video.